magnificent port. Those on the bridge and above decks are treated to a spectacular view of the sun rising over the mountains that ring the city. The desolation of the port is enough to remind them they are entering a war zone of some 8 years. Everywhere around the harbor are the rusting, pitted hulks of merchant vessels, destroyed by the fighting. Warehouses lining the port show the signs of heavy fighting, and fires burn unchecked in many areas of the docks. Railroad cars sit on their sidings, some apparently undamaged, others totally destroyed. Lookouts on the vessels fail to spot a single living being. In the pre-dawn calm, even the ever-present gulls do not disturb the quiet. Although most of the sailors, Marines, and French legionnaires are unaware of it, the city is slowly succumbing to 8 years of violence and civil war. In the heights above the city lies the Israeli army. Trapped within the city are the remnants of the PLO, which has harried Israel's border with Lebanon since the last invasion in 1978. 3 months earlier, in what many judged to be a repeat of the 1978 invasion, the tank columns of the IDF lunged across the Israeli-Lebanese frontier. Finding the forces of the PLO vulnerable and in disarray, the Israelis pursued their foes to the gates of the city. Once satisfied that the PLO had been run to ground in Beirut, the IDF drove east of the mountains and hammered the regular forces of the Syrian army, arranging to seal off any escape by the PLO with the help of the Christian phalangists, who occupied the mountains north of the city. For some 3 months, the IDF had pounded their foes in Beirut with every weapon in their arsenal. To the east, the Syrian army had been beaten back within its own borders, and an uneasy ceasefire had taken hold. Israeli aircraft flew unimpeded above the city and selected their targets at will, attacking with virtual impunity. Although badly beaten, the PLO remained a force to be reckoned with, as long as it remained within Beirut. Battle-hardened Israeli commanders knew the cost of house-to-house fighting and preferred to stand off and let the Air Force and heavy guns batter the PLO, while their infantry encircled the city and cut off its lifelines. Israeli engineers pumped mud into the gigantic pipes that delivered fresh water to the city, and the residents resorted to digging wells through the concrete of their sidewalks. Electrical power was also easily eliminated, and candles became scarce in Beirut, as hospitals struggled to treat the wounded in operating theaters, using emergency generators to power lights and machinery. While a horrified world looked on, the Israeli army slowly and effectively tightened its grip on the city. The PLO shifted its gun positions, placing them near hospitals, schools, and any other target that might facilitate gory pictures of maimed civilians should they be hit by errant Israeli bombs. Determined not to loosen its death grip, the IDF continued to shell Beirut, seemingly oblivious to the clamor of the world press for some form of mediated peace. Amid the protestations of the United Nations, the Israeli government finally conceded to allow the PLO to withdraw from the city. The Israelis insisted, however, that no heavy weapons be allowed to exit with the fighters, and that they be evacuated through the port of Beirut by non-Arab shipping. Halfway around the world, the American Secretary of State was by now virtually frantic to loosen the Israeli stranglehold on the Lebanese capital, and quickly agreed to arrange the evacuation of the PLO. Neutral shipping for the evacuation of the Palestinians was arranged, and U.S. naval vessels, routinely sent to the Mediterranean, were ordered to land their Marines beside French legionnaires and safeguard the withdrawal of the PLO. Within days, U.S. Marines were standing beside their French counterparts in the Foreign Legion, as thousands of PLO fighters boarded ships for destinations in North Africa. Although the Palestinians did not attempt to bring out their heavy weapons, American and French commanders were hopelessly outnumbered and planned a fighting withdrawal to their vessels in the harbor should hostilities have broken out. The PLO, for its part, seemed content to don new uniforms, arrive at the port in whatever semblance of order they could manage with their heavy weapons in tow, and fire their remaining ammunition into the air. By week's end, the PLO had abandoned the city amid the chaotic sounds of its ammunition arcing skyward and the cheers of the Lebanese civilians, only too happy to endure this final danger to be rid of their uninvited guests. The PLO leadership, including Yasser Arafat, retired to Tripoli, Lebanon, some distance to the north. The Americans and the French, having accomplished their task,